And welcome. It's time for another edition of the ETBU Sportsnet Coaches Show. I'm Kenneth the K-Rock Klein, and we're talking to a coach that if we certainly need somebody to hoodwink the skeptics in a way, this is a guy to do that. Head coach Jared Hood of the ETBU baseball team. Coach Hood, I got to say, the more that you guys play, the more that the team impresses me very much. So another series win, you took on Southwestern. First game didn't quite go according to plan, but you were able to bounce back to win a close, hard-fought game two, and then pretty much just steamrolled them in game three. Just kind of talk about the adjustments that you needed to make from the first game on to the second.
First off, you get into a role when you're playing conference, okay, and you kind of get into a rhythm, and then sometimes when you have an off weekend to where you're playing non-conference series, kids have a tendency to take the foot off the gas just a little bit, and I'm bound to determine that that's what happened. We just flat out didn't show up ready to play game one, it happens. I mean, these guys are young, but the thing that I continue to preach to those guys is that consistent effort, consistent approach, brings consistent results. And, on top of that, we're facing a good team. Southwestern's a very good team. They've had a lot of success, and they had a really good arm on the mound game one on Friday. And if you're not ready to play under those circumstances, you're going to get beat. And that's what happened. We were just getting absolutely destroyed. I took that as kind of an opportunity. Took a lot of guys off the field and threw a lot of young guys in and kind of threw them into the fire. But one thing that you were able to see from that is 9 other guys that were itching and eager to play, and they went in and gave a great effort. And, a lot of times in this game, that's what it takes, is just a high intensity, high effort to be able to compete. And it was good to see those young guys get their chance and to go out and to do that. So it was a good opportunity to do it. Wish we didn't have to do it, but sometimes you just gotta give a wake up call just a little bit, and I felt like that was the right time to do that.
Yeah, certainly, Coach. But obviously, that not necessarily kind of a message being sent there, but also just a good experience to get your young guys in there. I was really impressed with how somebody like Daniel Rubio came in. Like, he pitched really well, a couple of scoreless innings, although he gives up a 2-run bomb later on in the game. But, he pitched very well. Dakota Courtney pitched well. Clayton Conrad pitched well. I mean, the circumstances obviously didn't call for it, but obviously in that moment you felt like you needed to get the guys in just for experience and all that. But just kind of take you back just to when you look at the future of the program from what you saw in that game, just how it can progress and for the years to come.
Yeah, well, those 3 guys have been kind of on the cusp for the last couple of weeks. Just unfortunately the right time hasn't come along, and they've been really close in inter squads and in practiced on really good bullpens. So we felt really confident throwing those guys in there, and I was glad to see the results. Rubio, I think he went 3 innings before he got touched up a little bit, but that's the most he's thrown, in a long time. But he competed very well. Throw a lot of strikes and quality pitches, and then those 2 young guys and Dakota Courtney and Clayton Conrad. I mean, they did an outstanding job. So the future of the program, we've got some nice young guys with a lot of ability, and that can do some things. And a lot of time at the college level, it's them getting that experience and understanding what it's like to be in the college game, because it's definitely different than anything they've experienced before.
Yeah, and so you lose the first game, but then you bounce back to win game 2 of that series, and then it seemed like the momentum carried into game 3, where you just came out really aggressively and all of that, just to talk about that. So obviously, again, you want your offense to be as aggressive on the base paths and certainly when it comes to at-bat situations, and I really felt like they kind of did that starting from the 8th inning on of game 2 all the way. Just nice to see that happen.
Yeah, so the game 2 guy that we faced, he was another quality arm. He was upper 80s and probably touching 90, but, he'd throw a slider in there for strikes at any time and just really kept us off balance. And, there in the 7th or 8th inning, we were able to make an adjustment and able to fire on the breaking ball. And, and we saw some benefit from it. Got some good pitches to hit, and those balls went a long way, especially with the way the wind was blowing on Friday night. So it was really, really good to see us bounce back from that, and to find a way to scratch out a win there. And then Saturday, yeah, I mean, all the momentum was on our side, but it helps when you get a quality start on the mound. Adrian Stover, you can't say enough about what that kid's been able to do, from just a tempo standpoint, from a competitive standpoint on the mound. He's keeping us in games and giving us a chance to win. I think through the seventh inning, I think he'd given up 3 hits before he gave up the home run, but only had 2 strikeouts. Okay, so he's forcing early contact. He's getting guys involved in the game. And that just keeps the team rolling. That just keeps the momentum going and the intensity level high. So really, really good to see the effort from the last 2 games.
Certainly, Coach. And talking about some of your, senior players on the team this year, I feel like last year some of them, not the best of years, obviously they had a down year, but that happens in baseball. But I feel like they're having much better years improvement-wise, probably because the team's kind of better than what they were last year and all that. But you throw in Dylan Sumter, who's having a solid year, Landon Barnes is having a solid year. Obviously, we know what Casey's capable of, and Zach Gardner, of course, with a hitting streak. Just kind of talk about, making an adjustment from not having, the best of years to having a much better year, which is contributing to the team's success.
Well, a lot of those guys, that we have in the lineup this year are the same guys that we had in the lineup last year. And I felt like last year we were almost trying to be a team that we weren't. Guys were, we wanted to hit the ball hard. Guys felt like there was a lot of pressure on them to be the guy, okay, in the middle of the order or whatever. And this year, the focus has just really been just a consistent, common approach up and down through the lineup, and to embrace the hitter that you are, embrace the player that you are. We've seen a lot of benefit from that. Barnes especially. When he stays true to his approach, I mean, he's a very, very good hitter. Seth McKeska's another one. When he stays true to his approach, he's a very, very good hitter. And you've seen Dylan Sumter progress because of that, and Casey and all those guys. But really what's turned this team into the success that we've had is the leadership from those guys, okay, and the mentorship that you see from those guys to the younger guys. We all stumble once in a while, like we did Friday evening. But the way those guys are able to bounce back and continue to show the younger crowd, how to go about playing the game and having your approach towards the game, that's been really, 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 really good to see.
Absolutely, Coach. And going to continue here because you played 8 consecutive home games. You're going to conclude this 11-game homestand this weekend with Laterno. I almost want to say Friday at 7 p.m. and a doubleheader on Saturday, but 5 to 6 times, I mean, we've had to kind of adjust the schedules a bit because of Mother Nature. I feel like this season in particular, we've had more adjustments, playing more doubleheaders on the first day than the second day and all that. But is it just kind of, talk about, or just trying to figure out how to make the adjustment as far as a schedule with the weather and all that? Or, I mean, you want to get the games in at some point.
Yeah, so once every 4 years we'll have a year like this to where we just get pounded with rain every weekend. And, one thing that it's taught this group is that you always got to be ready. You've always got to prepare for a schedule change or something like that. And to me, you look at everything and you compare it to how it is in a tournament type environment, okay? Because at the end of the year, that's what matters, the tournament. And, and this is the same thing. I mean, it's playing early games, it's reschedule at the last minute, it's having to delay and wait a little bit longer, it's having to adjust on the fly. And, and I think that's good especially for teams in baseball, where a sport like baseball is always so meticulous as far as the schedule goes, and a routine. I think it's really important for those guys to be pressured to get out of that routine every once in a while and to make adjustments and to be able to carry on business as usual. So all of this is doing is preparing us for the end of the year. But we've got the the mental toughness, I think, with this team to be able to overcome those things.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck to you this weekend as you take on Laterno to continue your conference play, and we'll keep you up to date with the schedule. But for now, it's Friday at 7 and a doubleheader on Saturday. All right, folks, stick around. We'll be talking more baseball with head coach Jared Hood on this YouTube channel.